Angela Davis story starts in 1969. She's an assistant professor at UCLA in the philosophy department. She has already joined the Black Panther Party, and then she leaves the Black Panther Party. She joins the Che Lumumba Club, which was a black Marxist organization associated with the Communist Party, so she's a member of the Communist Party. She was outed for that.
She was a black communist. That was why she originally came to prominence, because Governor Ronald Reagan thought he'd score some political points by kicking out a commie. And so that's when she first became prominent in the public eye.
Soon she was making even bigger headlines. In 1970, guns legally owned by Angela Davis were used by a high school student in a botched kidnapping attempt where 4 people died. Angela was charged with 3 capital felonies, including conspiracy to murder. She went underground, but was caught and stood trial in Marin County, California. In 1972, an all-white jury found Angela Davis innocent on all charges.
For me, what's important about this is this incredible campaign. Really, the exhibition's, as much as it is about Davis, it's about the campaign to free her. And this was an incredible example of grassroots activism on an international scale. All of this work that's in the show, much of it is produced by now anonymous groups and people who thought, well, we can't let this young woman disappear into the prison system.
The campaign around the demand for my freedom was absolutely amazing. At the time, I was charged with 3 capital crimes. And even people who knew that I wasn't guilty did not understand how it was ever going to be possible for me to extricate myself from that situation. And so I see those images as symbolic of harnessing the power of masses of people and achieving what was considered to be impossible.
Angela Davis Sees the Time puts iconic headline images from 1969 to 1972 into historical context.
We have a whole series of photographs by Stephen Jemison. So it starts with Angela Davis in 1969 speaking at a Free Huey gathering in Oakland. Then the next image we have is after Angela has been arrested. There's a boy wearing a Free Angela t-shirt. Then there's some images of demonstrations in Oakland. And then there's a photograph of a street in Oakland with a sign that says Angela is free on bail, which was a very dramatic moment that happened only 5 days before her trial started. And then the final photo by Stephen Jemison says Angela is now free.
Photographs and artworks related to Angela Davis are embedded with materials from the collection of Lisbet Tellefsen, an archivist who describes herself as one in a long line of community keepers of the papers.
I don't know the stories that you can tell. That's not my job. My job and my obsessive passion is to gather this trove of historic material and try and make sure that it lives.
The curators used Lisbet's archive to create a through line. They added works by contemporary artists responding to Angela Davis and her activism on issues like prison reform.
I love the material I hadn't seen before. Like we were just discussing these pieces of, prisons and jails just right in the middle of how we live.
Right.
It's jarring.
Kind of hidden in plain sight, right?
I am so impressed with what they were able to come together. I mean, I still haven't absorbed it all. Like I've seen young people, students, sitting at these binders. Like I was commissioned to make 10 binders of random archival material that would tell some sort of story. And I'm like, I know what it means. Can I transmit that to somebody else. But I'm seeing these young people sitting there for, taking pictures and who knows what they're going to do with that. And for me, that's part of the joy of being an archivist.
I'm a design historian, I'm a historian of print. So this particular face, Angela Davis's face, was probably the first time a young black woman, certainly a young black philosophy professor, had been spread as widely as it was. And I think its importance is, here is a young black woman with a natural or afro hairdo, looking sort of calm in some of them, looking proud in others, looking, in the most widely distributed one, she's looking rather fierce. And so these were models that people could look up to, that young black women, that black people could look up to. Here's an intellectual black woman who's fighting for her freedom.
Black memory and black history is a very important subject for young black artists.
Black Gold 3 is a sculpture by Steffani Jemison and Justin Hicks. It's a sound work that uses the past as a creative element. The libretto is based on journeys taken by 3 black women: the singer Nina Simone, the playwright Lorraine Hansberry, and the political activist Angela Davis.
Each one is actually sung at a different octave. The Lorraine Hansberry is the highest, and sometimes she can't sing it, and so sometimes it's spoken. But so technically you can actually kind of like pull apart those 3 threads. Justin and I deeply admire Angela Davis and are fascinated by her work and her impact and her legacy. We're just as interested in the fact that Angela Davis doesn't and has never worked alone, but lives and works as part of a community and as part of a network. And so what we seek to do in our practice is often thinking about, well, what are the kinds of vocabularies that make it possible to think certain things, to dream certain things, to imagine certain things.
The past reverberates in the present, the past lives in the present. And that's a theme that Angela Davis brings up in the interview that we have with her. It's also a theme that I hope the exhibition kind of brings home. By the time you finish the circle of the exhibition, you're looking at Sadie Barnette's piece, which is about her father, Rodney Barnette, who himself was a Black Panther and a bodyguard for Angela Davis. Through the Freedom of Information Act, Sadie and her family were able to obtain Rodney Barnette, Sadie's father's, FBI files. So they got all these files from the FBI, and Sadie has been using them in her own art production.
About Angela Davis is very open, is very complex. Davis's legacy itself is rich and complex and many-layered.
In the 1970s, artist Faith Ringgold created prints about Angela Davis and about the prison industrial complex. Angela Davis Sees the Time features these and many works made since then.
Thinking through archives, thinking about communication, thinking about reinventions and reimagining of futures, and that's really what Angela Davis has been doing all her life.
Someone said the past is never past. Artists often allow us to grasp what we cannot yet understand.